So, welcome to looking at the first colonization of the New World by the English settlers. This is what is eventually going to lead to what becomes the United States of America. So today we're going to examine the formation of the settlements of Roanoke Island and Jamestown, the first two permanent civilizations by Europeans in the New World. Roanoke Island. It's known as the Lost Colony. Let's find out why. Roanoke Island was the first British settlement in North America. It is in what is now North Carolina. Roanoke Island was first settled by Sir Walter Raleigh, a dapper young man, and he was given permission by the King of England to come here to the New World and make a permanent settlement. Queen Elizabeth, this is Queen Elizabeth I, not the one who's sitting on the throne of England now, gave him a charter, which was a legal document that allowed him and his colonists to live on land owned by their country being England. So England was going to control the land in the New World. Raleigh named the entire region Virginia after Queen Elizabeth. You might have a question about that. Go ahead and ask. Now, he thought he was in Virginia, which is what he named it, but in the boundaries of today's America, it was actually North Carolina. The settlements failed because of food shortages and troubles with the Native Americans and the Spanish, who were also now starting to come over and looking for permanent settlements. In the year 1587, John White returned and tried again to start a British settlement on Roanoke Island. We'll discuss the reasons why it failed in more detail later on. As you can see, there was a long lag time in between John White going back to England for supplies and then when he came back. What happened while he was gone? Funny you should ask. Now we are really looking for more permanent settlement. Before it was just the sailors. Now we have full families. And this young lady, Virginia Dare, was the first person born, the first European-based child born in the New World. This is how the natives lived when they got here. What? Everyone's gone? What could have happened? So here is the very beginning of the white Europeans attacking and killing, usually for the wrong reason, the Native Americans who were living here. Jamestown settlement. So now, a few years after Roanoke, which again we'll get back into detail later, a second settlement called Jamestown was started in 1607. And these are the monuments that are in Jamestown, Virginia today. These were the ships. The Susan Constant was the first one. The Goodspeed and the Discovery. These three ships sailed to the New World with the mission to start a new colony and start making money for the king. What does the head write, you might ask? Please, somebody ask. A head right was 50 acres of land were given to each person who could pay their own way to Virginia. So if you can come up with the bucks, you can go to the New World and get 50 acres of land for free. And this is about how much 1 acre is. This was a model on the Jamestown Museum of what the original settlement looked like. But Jamestown had a lot of problems, and these are some of the main reasons. They were not educated in how to plant food in Virginia. The climate was very different than England, and they didn't understand the soil and the climate. They didn't know the landscape. They didn't know where was good land and where was bad land. They didn't have enough people and the right mix of people, and we'll talk about that some more too. And they did not always get along with the Native Americans. Over 2/3 of the colonists died of disease and hunger in the first few months they were there. Captain John Smith saved the Jamestown colony by bargaining for food with the Powhatan Indians, calling for a no work, no food rule. He was a tough taskmaster, but it worked for them. If you didn't work, you didn't eat. This was Disney's version of John Smith. That was him in the movie version. But this is what he really looked like. Nice beard. The famous story of Pocahontas saving John Smith. Fact or fiction? We're not 100% sure. But it was John Rolfe who married the Powhatan princess Pocahontas. And according to Disney, she sang to trees and wind and squirrels and raccoons, and not really. That's how she looked in the movies. But in real life, this was Miss Pocahontas. Once she married John Rolfe, became an English woman, and went and visited the king and queen and became the toast of England. And this is Mr. John Rolfe, according to our Mr. Disney, or in the movies. But a real painting of John Rolfe, he looked like this. Interesting looking couple. And this is again just a memorial to Pocahontas. But what it did do, besides make them a very happy couple, it brought peace between the colonists and the Indians, and John Rolfe became one of the largest producers of tobacco, and the growing of tobacco as an economic source kept Jamestown alive. It gave them a source of money, and it allowed more people to come and eventually established the true permanent colony of Jamestown. Indentured servants were brought to the USA, though of course we know it wasn't in the United States yet, but it was North America for the first time. An indentured servant is someone who was close to a slave. They promised to come and work here for a number of years, usually 7 to 10 years, in slave-like conditions to work off the debt for their bosses to pay for their passage to come to the New World. They were harshly treated, and many, many of them died. Eventually, though, the House of Burgesses, which was our first collection, almost like a Congress, of lawmakers to meet to make laws for the Virginia colony. In 1620, more women came to permanently settle, and that was the beginning of Jamestown.